Hey, it's Dino Katsiametis from the Way Podcast, and today we got Sean Herrero. So just finished interviewing him, and I wanted to come back and just like really intro him because the dude is so amazing. He's a great dude, and he's really good at his trade. And you'll see here in this interview that he's going to break down so many of the little things. But what I love about it too, it's not just the trade, how much time he spends on bettering himself as a person, because ultimately, if you can't keep bettering yourself and reprogramming yourself to always be positive, and in his own words, like tunnel vision is of positivity, is what he said, and ultimately you need that in order to also be successful at your trade. So take a listen. Hope you love it. Hey, this is Dino from the Way Podcast, and I'm super excited because Sean Herrero is somebody that I met like a couple months ago, and for some reason, he fascinated me quite a bit. So I wanted to bring him on here today and make sure that all of you guys learn as much as you can from him. So, at the Way, our whole thing is about empowering, educating, and equipping loan officers the way lending should be done. And how do we do that? To me, the easiest way is simply bring on loan professionals that have been there, done that, and have achieved a certain amount of success. And in my eyes, it's a little different because it's not just the numbers, it's also the success in life, because there's way more to life than just the numbers, right? Like how much you fund. And when I'm looking for people to interview, it's because I want you to learn from them from all aspects of life, right? Because I think that balancing act is really the most important part. So here we go. I'm going to just get started. And Sean, how are you?
Good, brother. Thanks for having me, dude. And I really love the message here because in our industry, I think I think our companies program us to say that volume equals success. And I think that living the life you want to on your own terms is what defines success. So I really love your message.
Awesome. So let's just jump right into it. Who are you today, both personally and professionally?
Man, that's a good way to put it. I guess first and foremost, I'm a husband and a father, three boys. They're 22, 17, and 7. And I'm a mortgage advisor. So, I don't have a big team. It's me, a loan partner, and then a shared processor. And kind of to your point, I've kind of kept it that way because my goal, not only for my own business, is to obviously do well in my business, but I want to inspire others to go, man, if my reason for not doing the volume I want to do or not making the money I want to make is because I don't have a big team, I stay in this because I want to inspire those people.
Yeah, I love that. So first piece that fascinates me is when, I guess before I met you, I just assumed you were like 30 years old. And then I found out you have kids that are that old, and I just can't like understand it. How old are you?
I'm 43. I'll be 44 in July.
Okay, so you started young.
Early start. Yeah. And I had gotten into this industry maybe 6 months, maybe a year before that. So, it was, okay, you have no choice but to do well quickly. I'll never forget the day my fiance, my wife now, but fiance at the time called and said she was pregnant. It was like 5:15, 7 days after my 21st birthday. My boss at Countrywide was standing right behind me, and I guess I like turned white and started shaking. And she's like, "What's the matter?" I was like, "Nothing." I just remember getting on the freeway to drive home, and it was just like, "This is it, like man up." And I like the pressure of that, and yeah, the father I was to my 21-year-old is very different than the father I am to my other two boys. But it's been an awesome journey from then to now. It's just really fun to look back at.
Can you talk about that for a minute? I'm curious. I mean, I think I know what it is because it's the exact same with me, and I wish I could have learned how to be a better father earlier. But maybe it's not for you. Like, what's that? What does that mean to you?
Yeah. So, well, first off, it was you have no choice but to do well, right? There's no feel sorry for yourself. There's no like you're man up. It's kind of just remember telling myself that in the car, like all right, this is life, man up, and that was it. And I'll never forget the day he was born. I was 21, And when he came into the world, I just remember looking at him being like, this is the definition of unconditional love, because I will die for this kid right now. And I just met him for the first time. And that was a really like kind of pivotal moment for me. Every friend that I have that has a kid, like when it's their first kid, I'm like, now you know the meaning of unconditional love. You don't really know it. I don't think you know it until that experience. Um, and then, I would work from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. because I had a family to take care of. My wife was stay-at-home mom. And I wanted it that way, right? Like we wanted that in our world. And I just remember having regret of, man, I didn't see him at all today. And that would go on day after day. And then with the way my brain works with what we do, I just can't turn it off. And there was a couple years ago, I was cleaning out a closet and I found those little videotapes. Remember like the high 8 videotape? So I was found a box and I just threw one in, and it was my son, Ashton, who's my 22-year-old. And we were going to his first day of school. It was either kindergarten or first grade. And my wife's filming us and he's holding my hand. You could see how nervous and scared he is in the video. And I just seemed like unhappy and angry to be there. And I like broke down crying watching that, because I was like, that's the father that I was to him. But at the same time, I was like, I'm not going to do that with my other boys. The coolest part of that story is my perception of what his childhood was, or what he saw in me as a father, wasn't what he saw. We were in Hawaii a couple years ago, or I guess this was last year, and he's entrepreneurial. He's a YouTuber. He's doing really well. And we were driving through Lahaina, and he goes, I forget what we were talking about, but he's like, dad's self-made. He did everything on his own. Like, what he saw wasn't disappointment. He is the entrepreneur he is because of what he saw me do for him. And I just thought that was really cool. And like, kind of gave me like, it removed the weight. It's a heavy weight to carry when you think you weren't a good father. So, it's just a cool experience.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It was the same for me. I mean, my kids, their first two were born, just before 2008. The second one was basically right after. And obviously, you've been in the business a long time. 2008 was a pretty terrible time for everybody in our industry. And it was just like, before that, life was so wonderful, I achieved so much and financially everything was great. And then all of a sudden I got all of this responsibility and I went into like super hyper work mode. And I hurt in one way, but at the same time, it's like what I had to do. So, time will tell, I guess, what comes of that. But one of my missions in life right now with Ethos Lending is that I'm trying to preach the word all the time about work-life balance and making sure that people understand that it doesn't give you a better life if you're at work all day long. And there's so many aspects of that, whether it's your kids or your wife, and the loneliness that she might feel, or the resentment that gets built up. And, and then the reality is, what did you really accomplish? So to me, the family is a much bigger accomplishment than the units that you funded.
Yep. What's it all for, right? If all it is money, and sure, your company thinks you're cool, but what does everyone else think you're cool? And do you think you're cool? Like, we go to Cabo a lot, and a friend of mine has a fishing boat down there, and it's expensive to book it, but it's like, I'm booking it for the day. And it's like, my wife's like, really, you want to spend? I'm like, what's it all for if I don't get to enjoy it? Right? What's the point?
For sure. Just some rapid fire questions to get to know you a little bit more. And this one's not even about you, but I'm kind of fascinated with that. You don't see that many bull riders, or people, at least in California, that are bull riders. And your son, I'm assuming it's your oldest son?
No, my middle son, 18-year-old. Yeah. So he's a junior in high school. He got into bull riding, I guess, about 18 months ago. Everyone asks how that happens, because the town we're from, California is very Texas. Like, if you get east of the ocean about an hour and a half, it is very cowboy country. And a lot of people don't know that. They think of California as San Francisco, LA, San Diego, right? That's California. It's not. So there was one other kid in our town that went bull riding. My son Kingston went with him once. That day, that kid ended up getting hospitalized. I think Kingston actually fractured his back his first time when he fell, but we blamed it on lacrosse. Um, and it just became like an obsession for me. He kept asking. My kids did motocross and all this, and I'm like, dude, we didn't quit dirt biking to do bull riding. Like this, you're leaving like one dangerous sport for the most dangerous, out of control sport. You have no control over what happens. Like at least with the dirt bike, you can let go of the throttle. There is none of that. And so I was really, really, really against it. And when they come home from, like, my wife and I were out to dinner, drinking a little bit, and my mother-in-law was watching Kingston and my little one Bodie. And I open our front door, and like our couches are right there. And I just see her looking at me. She goes, "Why won't you let him ride bulls?" And I was like, all right, I just, like, in her eyes, I was like, "You've been drinking. I've been, like, maybe this is a better tomorrow conversation." And she, like, would not let up. And I was like, "Let's talk about this tomorrow." I was so proud of myself. I was like, my inner monologue's like, "Dude, you're doing so great right now." And he wouldn't let up. And then my wife sits next to her and is like, "Yeah, why won't we let him ride bulls?" And like made me the bad guy. And Kingston's sitting right next to us. And I was like, "Fine, you can ride a steer." And I just thought a steer was like the small ones that they rope, right? The team ropers rope. They're like smaller. And so we go to the training place that we go to, and they bring the bulls into the chute, and the steer is taller than the bulls. I didn't know the difference was just testicles or no testicles, right? That's the difference. And I was like, well, I said yes, but here we go. And then he did well. And then the guy that runs that facility is like, "Look, Kingston's really good at this. The next bull is this one." And it was the one that put his buddy in the hospital previously. But he's this big old bull. Now I know so much about it. But he just progressed, and it's just naturally what he's good at. And as a parent, it's hard because you don't want your son to die or get injured. But it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier. Like, if you're not living life, what's the point? You know? And so this is his passion. He's 17. If I said no, he's going to go do it anyways. So at least I get to be there. But yeah, in his first year, he's one of the top bull riders in high school rodeo. He's number 3 in the state. Went to the world finals in Wyoming. He's already qualified for state finals this year. He won $1,500 at rodeo in Arizona 2 weeks ago. So this is what he's supposed to do.
All right, Sean, what about morning routine? I'm curious as to guys that are really successful. A lot of them seem to have a morning routine, seem to have like just this very structured life. And then there's some, man, that just have no structure at all. Who are you?
I'm gonna say I lean more towards the structured side, because I think that so there's this guy named Joel Turner who's an archery coach, and he's been on Joe Rogan's podcast, but he has this thing called thoughts are not thinking, right? So we have to some of us have to reprogram what we believe in. So I was raised that money is the root of all evil. Yuppies are the worst people on the planet. If they have a Mercedes, you rent, you get a job, pay your rent, and that's kind of life until you retire. That's how I was raised. And I found out that that's not necessarily the case. So I believe that I have to wake up every day and reprogram what was programmed. So my day starts around 4:30 every morning with 10 minutes of affirmations, just positive affirmations, to overcome what was programmed. And I think doing that made a massive difference. I don't know if I can prove it, but I can feel when I don't do these things, money becomes harder for me to come by. When I do these things, it becomes almost effortless. But that being said, I won't do it like, it's not like everything we do has to be for a reason. Just because one person has a certain routine doesn't mean another should. So my routine is wake up 4:30, 10 minutes of meditation. I'll do 25 push-ups just to get blood flowing. I'll read 10 pages of a book. I drink salt water and take amino acids right away, and fish oil. And that's just to get hydrated, like get more salt back in my system. And that's kind of my routine. It maybe takes 30 minutes in total. And there's days where I'll come down and my mind's on, there's loans going on, this and that. And it's like having the routine makes you go, wait, pause, like be present. Those things will get done. Make what's important, important. And I think that comes down to Pareto principle or Parkinson's law, right? So Pareto principle is 80% of your 80% of your success comes from 20% of your effort. So if all this noise is there, it's like, wait, only 20% matters. And then Parkinson's law says work will fill the time you allow it. So if I come down at 4:30 and start working, it's going to take me the extra half hour. But if I take the 30 minutes to get myself like kind of set up, um, then I'll still get the work done. But that's it. So, and the reason I say it's not perfect is there was one morning I was trying to go through my meditation, and it was before Momentum Builder, one of the conferences, and I had to figure out my presentation. I was having like all these inspired thoughts on what I wanted to do. I was like laying there and like, as soon as I get through this, and I was like, wait, like maybe what you're meditating on is actually happening right now, and you should stop and go act on the inspired thought. So that's kind of how I look at things, is kind of constant dialogues with myself of like, what are my thoughts? How do I overcome them if they're negative, by thinking, and then go from there. I don't know if that's a great answer, but that's kind of how it goes.
No, it is. It's a great answer. It's interesting. I was very fortunate as a kid. My dad way back then, which, wasn't as popular as it is now, was listening to like cassette tapes all the time of like Tony Robbins like people. And he'd make me go sit in the car in the driveway with him and listen. And then whenever I did something wrong, he spanked sometimes, but he really didn't spank. He like lectured, and he'd pretend like he was one of these guys talking to me. And I was like, man, I'd rather take a spanking. But after years of this stuff, man, it really like got into my brain. And now as an adult, I look and I'm like, you can throw anything at me, and just mentally, I'm so strong about what the outcome is going to be, and how really whatever is so bad right now isn't so bad. And then I look at other people that grew up a different way, like you were saying, like this was what was programmed, and now you got to reprogram. And I think the lesson there is two things for me. One is, I love the fact that you've seen that, and you're making efforts to fix that, and you're constantly having to do it, because the lesson I've learned is the people that were programmed the wrong way, you can't just change it. There is so many years of something, and it might take so many years of the reprogramming to fix that. But the fact that you're actually like conscious of it, you're working hard to fix that. And what I love about it is, just from numbers perspective, right? Like you're $100 million producer. To a lot of people, that's just like the upper echelon of a loan officer. And yet, you're still reprogramming yourself because you want to be better and better and better. So the lesson to everybody, the nugget out of that is, you gotta keep working at it. It doesn't just happen. You got to make efforts to fix whatever's wrong in your life, to reprogram yourself. And a lot of times nothing's even wrong. It's just the perspective that you're telling yourself. What are you seeing? Right. And if you're not seeing something beautiful, something good, then something bad is really what's going to happen out of it. So I actually really appreciate you saying that.
When Dino, you touched on something earlier when you talked about 2008 with your kid, and you said when 2008 happened. So another trend I've noticed is I had a kid right when I got in. I had a kid in 2007 when everything fell apart. And then I went broke in 2016, became originator in 2017. And in January 2017, my wife told me she was pregnant. So I've had a kid at like every rough point, right? But what you said was you went into work mode. And I had a conversation with somebody last week where this person kind of going through like a tough financial time, and is just feeling so much stress and anxiety from it, to where they're freezing and not doing the work. And I'm like, I'm like, to me, that's self-sabotage. If you're in a bad spot because of money and you decide not to work, that's self-sabotage, because the only solution I've ever found to solving money problems, and again, this may be part of my programming, but if I'm in a bad spot, the solution to more money is to work smarter and harder. Like that's the only way I've ever found it. And that's kind of what you touched on.
I had a coach a while back, and he said something to me that I've never forgotten. And it's something I've heard it before elsewhere, but I try and ask myself this question sometimes, right? When I feel like I need it. And he said to me, okay, he goes, here's the deal. I'm going to kidnap your child that you just had, and I'm not going to give him back to you until you give me $1 million. He goes, tell me what you would do right now to go make $1 million. And I'm like, number one, I would not take a second from calling somebody else that might be able to give me some money, right? Whether it's give me or make money off of them. And what the exercise really was, it was like, how often am I calling my database? Because he's like, you got money, you got $1 million sitting in your database right now, but you're not accessing it. And I was like, he's right. I can call right now. I don't know how long it would take, but I can call right now and I can make so much money just off of the people there. And that's what people aren't doing. And you said it really, like, people freeze, they get paralyzed when times get difficult. And that's not the time you bury your hand in the sand. That's not the time that you allow that to happen. You have to stand up strong. And maybe that means you have to wake up a little bit earlier. Maybe that means you have to start giving yourself some good self-talk, like Sean does in the morning. Maybe that means you need to start working out a little bit more and doing 25 push-ups in order to get blood flow going. I mean, there's so many things that you got to realize when something's not happening in your life, it's because you're typically not doing something in your life, right? To create that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. On that, like I was talking to somebody else, they were going through their morning routine. This is what I do. And it was, what you're supposed to do. Wake up early, meditate. She checked all the boxes. I was like, but what's the purpose? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, if all the things you're doing are without purpose, then I don't know if there's a point to doing it. So like, that's why it's not copy someone else. It's what is my purpose? What is my goal? What am I trying to achieve? Then the routine should line up with that. And another friend of mine is, he's not a morning guy, right? He's like, I got to get up early. Society says you're supposed to get up early. Like, but you're most productive at night. So why wouldn't you just embrace that you're really good at night? Just because society says so doesn't mean it's the right answer. Like my old son does all of his video ideas at like 1 a.m. because that's when his brain is firing the most. There's a 0 chance of me ever being awake at 1 a.m, but for him, it's the right time.
Right, for sure. You can look at this any way you want. Some it's just meditation, some it's prayer, but I did a deep dive one time on Mother Teresa, and she said something that I've also never forgotten. And, for people that pray, or meditate, let's say, right, you typically will say a lot of the stuff that you want. And you never, so she said, if all you do is talk while you pray, you're doing it all wrong. She goes, because if you don't actually sit in silence to wait for the answer back, you're never going to get it. And, and I found that so profound. I was like, she's so right. Like you'll sit and pray sometimes, like, God, help me with this, help me with that, help do this, but you'll never like sit back to wait for the answer and know what to do. Right. And, if now we want to take it away from prayer and put it into meditation for a minute, sometimes the silence of meditation is when those thoughts come. And you said it earlier, you were preparing for your talk. And I was like, well, maybe this is what I'm supposed to be hearing. Right. And you got to be silent in order to hear.
Yeah. And my son, so my programming, I'm a different father with my 7-year-old than I was with my 22 or 17-year-old, right? So the house we live in now, we bought it in 2021. On the upstairs, his bedroom's right across from ours. When you walk out, there is a window that goes down our stairs but faces east. And so we see the sunrise from there. So when he wakes up in the morning, whether it's dark or not, I get him out of his room, we go to the step, and he says, thank you, God, for this beautiful day. Every single day. And I'm like, I've taught him gratitude to start your day this way at 5 years old, right? So we program our children, and I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to go, man, I wish I'd programmed this kid different so I can now do it different, right? But I just think starting with gratitude solved so many problems. And on this same subject, I think it's human nature is to complain, right? We always talk about we don't want. But there is light and dark in everything. So if you're in a dark spot or you're thinking about the dark, and I would say dark is negativity, I don't want this, I don't want that. I don't want is what you do want. So I was the I don't want guy forever. And whether it's God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, if you don't identify what you want in your life, it is impossible for prayer or meditation or universe to provide it to you because you're not clear. So how can it be clear?
That's so true. I love it. So for everybody listening right now, I mean, here's what I would take away from this. You can be a lot more successful in your loan origination business, or any business for that matter, if you also start concentrating on other aspects of life as opposed to just your trade. We're going to get to the trade. I think it's actually time we do, but by all means, like, look at how much value Sean and I are putting into our family, our gratitude, our, health. Everything matters, and it's done for a reason. So, all right, let's move on. I want to go back to day one, right? When you first started, like, first of all, why did you get into the mortgage business, and what did that look like for you?
Okay, I'll go kind of quick on this part because I'm sure everyone will want to get to the origination part. So I wanted to be a game warden. I've always been an outdoors guy, went to school for it, and was in my game warden class. Game warden's teaching the class and says there's 1 to 2 of us in each county in California. And I looked around the class, probably 40 kids in there. And I was like, man, what are the odds of me actually getting this job? And if there's a budget cut, I feel like the animal cop's one of the first to go if there's only 1 to 2 in each county. So I moved home and I was lost. I was 19. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. My mom had just gotten into mortgage maybe 6 months before. And this is 2000. Yeah, 2000. So a different rule book back then. And I'm like, hey, what is it that you do? Maybe I should get my license because my little brother's childhood's way better than mine. Like, she was just everything. She was just doing well really quick. And she said, this guy at Washington Mutual needs an assistant. He's a wholesale rep. Go interview with him before you get licensed because you may not even like it, right? Don't bother getting licensed until you kind of see what it's about. So I interviewed with him. I had big plugs in my ears, 19-year-old punk kid, and he took a chance on me. And I remember not understanding it, right? He basically just fed me to the wolves. Like, in my first day, he's like, I'm going golfing, go figure it out. And I was just like, I don't know. They're like, this is where funding is. This is where loan documents are. I'm like, I don't know what any of this stuff means. And I talked to my mom, like, I don't know if this is for me. She's like, give it 90 days. If after 90 days, you still feel this way, then quit, but don't quit too soon. And I, okay, fair. So he hired me December 26th of 2000. March of 2001, I remember hanging up the phone. There was no cell phones, no email back then, faxed lock agreements. Like, I hung up the phone and I just stared at it. I was like, whoa, I know what I'm talking about. And that from there, it was on. Like, I was like, loved it. Like, I loved the problem solving of it, figuring out the best way to find solutions for people. I loved it. A year later, I wanted to be a wholesale rep now. I don't want to be an assistant anymore. And Washington Mutual said I was too young. I was 20 years old. So Countrywide wanted me because they probably just wanted Don's book of clients, right? But they hired me, and I was like one of the top reps in the country by 2021. Like, I think I wasn't 20 years old yet. We were in Hawaii at our platinum producer thing. I wasn't old enough to get drink. So I was like, hey, go get me something. So fast forward to 2010, right? 08 happens. Everything falls apart. Countrywide becomes B of A. I didn't really like what Countrywide became. It wasn't where I wanted to be. I wanted to do the quote unquote good loans, the 30-year fixed, the ARMs, not all the 80-20 self like stated, not like, I just didn't like what their model became. And so when they went under, I wasn't surprised, but I was at B of A where I did want to be. Well, B of A says they only want to have premier brokers. I get down to having 6, and I was doing 10 million a month with each. So I was doing like $60 million at minimum a month, making really good money. And then they go, hey, we're only going to pay you on the first, I forget the number, X million. I was like, well, wait a sec. Now I'm not going to make any money anymore. And I was like, that sucks. I hate that I'm not in control of my income, that they can do this. Go to, in 2010, RPM Mortgage, which I've known my entire life. I was the courier there when I was in high school. They said, they're like, hey, we want you to be a wholesale rep, but only internally. So we want you to give all of our loan officers great ideas to help them do more business, to help them market better, and then help us recruit as well. So I jumped into that world and was doing really well. And then 2013, get my income cut, right? Same flow. And I just I'm like, this is going to change. This is going to change. And I stayed in my comfort zone because that's all I'd ever known was that world. Well, in 2016, November 2016, I'm completely broke. I'm making IRA withdrawals, telling my wife just one more, this will turn, this will turn. And then I just got sick of it because I realized I can pour my heart and soul into loan officers. I can work from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. But if they don't go do the work, I don't make any money and it looks like it's my fault. And I'm sick and tired of this. So in November 2016, I told my wife, like, I'm just going to become a mortgage advisor. And she's like, we've never done that. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm going broke anyways. And I'm better at it than these guys. So I'll put my money where my mouth is. So January 2017 is my first day as a loan officer. And I funded 5 million March of 2017. And I'm still working RPM. And everyone goes, dude, how'd you do that so fast? I'm just like, I got so mad. I'm like, I just did I'm doing what I told you guys to do. Like, it's your fault I'm broke. When really it's my fault. Like, I think that if you kind of going back to what we were just talking about, if you don't take steps forward towards what you want, even if it's uncomfortable, God's going to push you there, right? I never would have taken that step had I not gotten to like rock bottom. But it was like, all right, man, you're saying that you want these things. If you're not going to do it on your own, I'm just going to make it super uncomfortable for you and push you off this cliff. And that's how it went for me. And then from there, it was just, that's basically it. Like, I've been a loan officer ever since. I don't have a big team. I haven't recruited other loan officers. I think that might be next.
Real quick, I got a question for you. So you funded 5 million. Out of curiosity, what did you fund last month?
That's a great question. Probably about that. Yeah, 5, 6. Well, no. Well, it was, and this is like kind of phases of life is what I call it. So back then, I've been a mortgage coach guy since before I was an originator because my job, I thought it was a great tool. And I was like, if loan agents use this, they'll provide a better client experience, more transparency, less selling, more service. So I learned it inside and out. So my day one was mortgage coach. Well, where I live, I was too tech forward. So I was working in Silicon Valley. So funding, 5 million could have been like 4 loans at that time. But fast forward to 2018, now Wells is doing their give us money, we'll give you a discount thing, which now every bank is doing. And I remember very specifically sitting at a beach in Half Moon Bay working for my van. And I called my CEO back then at the time and I was like, dude, I'm getting crushed. He's like, oh, your margins are too high. You got to work for less. I was like, I could pay them and I still wouldn't be able to compete with what they're doing. So my options were to complain about something I can't control or shift markets. So I was like, okay, jumbo, cookie cutter, the Apple, Amazon, tech guys that I love working with. Well, they might want to work with me. We can't ignore, I have $1 million that I can give to Wells and they'll give me a lower rate, right? 2018.
Because we have a similar story. I did mine a few years earlier though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, I can't compete in this jumbo market. And my office was in Newport Beach and Fashion Island. Like, it was all jumbo for so long. And I had achieved what most people would think, like, gosh, how did you have all these great clients? And then I was like, they're not great anymore. This isn't a good client. I need to go back to first time home buyers and I need to like double down on them. And really what I did is it was back when, it was the rage was millennials, right? Like, that's like wherever you turn, it was like millennials. Well, I looked into it. I did enough research to learn and think through that if you just look at the birth rates and where they're going for the next 10 plus years, why not? That is the space to be in. So I made this big, huge shift and went and so people ask me like, well, how did you do that? Right? Because how do you just all of a sudden got your first time home buyers? I went after brand new agents, younger agents, and the younger agents got me the first time home buyers. And there we go. So I didn't mean to jump in there, but keep going on your story.
Well, no, that's very, very similar. So my clients have always been first-time home buyers, and buying $1 to $2 million homes as your first home in Silicon Valley or the Bay Area is not uncommon, just like it is in Southern California, right? So, and people go, well, how did you get that momentum? And I did what you did. Everybody chases the top producer, right? I'm like, let them all go fight over the top producer who probably is really like knows the game inside and out. has a lender, probably loves their lender, and like until something, if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of mindset, right? I'm like, but if I go for the agents that actually need me, they need a resource that can help them figure out how to do open houses better, how to get more clients done, close faster, get accepted faster, all of those things. Those are my people. So you and I went after the same type of real estate agent, which is the opposite of what we're told to do, right? Like we're told to chase the course says chase the whales. No, like one, that's the term. And two, no, I want to serve people that need me. I don't want to sell somebody on using me. I want to serve others. So it's the same thing. And then I just took that same first time home buyer mentality. We went, okay, where are conventional loans? Where are FHA loans? Like I just had to lower my price point, and that shifted me more into my own neighborhood, like not my neighborhood, but like closer to home. So I didn't have to commute as far to go talk to realtors. And that's what I did. So, on the 80-20 principle idea, the ways that I built my business was by doing real estate agent presentations, whether it's in person or online, and making educational videos on the internet. Like those are my two things. And those are the two, see, to answer your question of what was I doing and what should I be doing? I need to get back. I need to be making more videos. I just kind of fell off of that lately. But it's constant evolution, right? I could have sat there and complained about Wells and Citi and B of A doing these things that I can't control and felt sorry for myself. Or it's like, adapt and overcome, like, all right, that's not your people anymore. You're going to shift this way. It doesn't mean if they call, I won't help them, but it's give yourself the biggest opportunity to win. I don't want to win 40% of the time. I want to win 90% of the time.
So, dude, that's so interesting. What I'm going to try and do here every time is pull out some nuggets here and there, just because sometimes people are working and listening and all that. And this is one of those moments where I just want you to stop and listen for a second. If you're struggling, right? If you're not sure what to do, I mean, I think Sean, what he's saying is you got to get out of your comfort zone. You gotta get to a place where you're providing some real value to people. And how do you do that in today's world? I mean, I think you get on social media and you start talking to people, and you don't just do a bunch of stuff that is self-hype, or you gotta educate and pick a focus. I still think first-time home buyers are the way to go. There's so many of them, and depending on what stage you're at. I mean, I looked at it because when I did it, it's because I had my fourth kid, and I panicked. Honestly, I was just like a little panicked because we just got out of 2008. I was, although I was doing a little better at the time, I was still like recuperating from all the loss. And here I have my fourth kid. I'm just like, what am I doing? But it really like triggered something. And that's when I went deep into the first time home buyers. I went deep into trying to meet brand new younger agents. And it was great because I was still young enough, and I was able to coach them a lot as well. So it was a perfect mix where I could take some younger agents that looked at me as a little bit of a coach, and I was able to help them and bring real value to them. And I was able to really bring value to first-time home buyers. And I got to say, talk about like the that feel good thing, right? Like I felt good when I helped first-time home buyers, and seeing the joy in them when they got to move into their first house and all that stuff. My gosh, that was, talk about satisfaction. That was a big deal for me. So the nugget to pull out is get your ass off the whatever it is you're doing and start doing stuff where you're talking to people directly. Start creating motion, because without it, nothing's going to happen. Sean, during that time, did you have any like real struggles as far as the business goes, where like you couldn't get to that next level because of some hurdle you had to cross?
I think with my programming thing we talked about earlier, I've done this, right? I'll do really, really well, and then a bad thing will happen and my business will fall. And I've really gotten out of the mindset of like, how come nothing ever works out for me, right? And it's like, okay, cool. The challenge is the opportunity. And that's what I look for. So I gave you one example of 2018. So year one, 2017, I'm a, top 1% producer in the country. I went from 35, I did 50 million year two, 2018. In 2018, if everyone remembers, or if you weren't here, the end of 2018 was like an interest rate increase. The market fell a little stale. And so I did 50. And then in 2019, I did 75 million. And I remember I hit 10 million for the first month. And my wife, came up to me one day and I was just stressed. And again, I don't have an assistant. This is just me by myself. And she's like, geez, you must be closing a lot of loans. Or I hope we're making a lot of money if you can't even talk to me, something like that. And I was like, whatever. And I just like in the middle working. And I looked in my Outlook for work. I have folders of all the active loans. And I just went 1, 2, 3. And I counted. I was like, holy cow, I have 14 active loans right now. And then I looked at the loan amounts and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do 10 million. And I remember going to dinner that night. I couldn't stop smiling. Like I was so proud because, like you said earlier, like 100 million for whatever reason is the number, right? It's always been the number. And so I did 75 in 2019, but I had no quality of life. Like we went on this river rafting trip and I got up at 3 a.m. to work before we were going to go river rafting. And then we were in Yosemite. Like, I was just like, this isn't right. We were in Hawaii doing the same thing. And it's good, but it's not great. Like I'm grateful I don't have the financial struggles and that we're making money again, but my family isn't happy and I'm not present. And so I was like, I can't do this by myself. So in 2020, I brought on a teammate and then 2020 turned into 2020, but we did 150 million. That was a number that was not ever like in the scope of reality for me. And then in 2021, we did 220. And now
just you and one assistant.
Yeah. I had one assistant processor and a processor assistant back then. So, and we never scaled. I never hired. I remember every month we'd have a call and be like, look, let's just get through this. Like we'll work our asses off. We're going to do this together because there's no way this lasts forever. There's no way it goes another month. And then it went 2 years like that. Right. But it was great because it gave me a new frame of reality and possibility. Like 100 million was the number. Well, it's not okay for me anymore because I know I'm capable of more. So all I want to do is go back to that number. Then that number is important to me because I'm in that phase of life. I am that person that I enjoy this so much and I can't turn it off. Like I was talking to somebody one time, Ryan Grant, and we were at dinner together and he's like, Sean, when was the last time you took a 7-day vacation with no work? And I thought about it. And the answer is not since 2013 or 14. But what was more important was when he asked that, like the internal voice said, I don't want that. Like the idea of that currently, I have no interest in that because I'm so fired up to keep this thing going. So I want to do the big numbers. That's just who I am. It doesn't mean other people need to. That's just for me. But yeah, that's kind of been my trajectory. And Dino, what you said earlier, I think is important of like, what are you, if you're doing something and it's working, but you're not hitting the financial goals or numbers you want, that means you're supposed to do more of that thing, right? So I think we have to analyze, what am I doing every day? Is it moving me to where I want to be or is it not? If you're doing something that you hate and it's not working, well, stop doing that and go find what it is. And I also believe you have to find your people. We're not all here to serve the same people. I would say the people that I speak to and market to are going to be veterans, first responders, first-time homebuyers. It's really rewarding, kind of fills my soul to help all those people. It fits my style. It doesn't mean I won't help a move down, move up buyer, somebody buying an investment property, but I can't be heard by everybody. So you have to pick who you want to be heard by and focus on that. I did a talk at Modern Mortgage Summit last week, and I pulled a stat kind of on the market because everyone's complaining about the market. The market's not the problem. We're the problem. There were 274,000 residential real estate transactions done in the state of California last year. And I don't need to do 1% of those. That'd be 2,700. But man, I'm pissed off that I'm not doing 0.1% of them because that's 274. I can do 274 transactions. And what that means to me is there are hundreds of thousands of people that aren't getting the best experience because they're not working with me. And Dino, I'm sure you feel the same way. If you believe so much in your process, in your client experience, that I get pissed off that I didn't have more people find me faster.
Yeah, gosh, dude, that's so awesome. So there's a few things there that I loved. One, just to back up a little bit, you were at a point where you were struggling a little bit, and you finally brought somebody on. So my advice when because for me, anytime I came at a point where I just like was capped, it was a hurdle that I had to cross, and that was usually I had to hire somebody new because I just couldn't do any more hours. Now, back then there wasn't as many systems in place. Systems were typically people, and a lot of work, but now there's a lot more automation that you can implement that'll save plenty of hours that I highly recommend you start going after. And then I love that what I really, really saw, and I loved seeing it because it was the same for me, was the passion that you have in helping people. Like you actually, so I use the word love. I think you actually love your clients. And I remember one time I had a processor and I was like, dude, I go, do you even love our clients? And he looks at me and I'm like, all right, maybe a little bit too strong of a word. You're a dude. Do you like our clients? And it was one of these where it's like, what do you want me to say? He's like, I'm just in it for the check. And I'm like, man, how do you not like, they pay our bills. They've raised my kids basically, right? Like all the things that we have are because of them. I do love them. Like I actually love these people. And the mere fact that they still call me 20 plus years later to either see how I'm doing or to get their kid into a property or whatever it might be, man, that feels so good for me. Like it's like having that kind of a business, it's almost impossible to not succeed. But it starts with you. If you can't love your clients, right, or love on them, then what are you doing? Maybe you're in the wrong industry. And the other thing that I hear all the time is, oh, I can't stand the realtors, man. Man, those guys, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, really? Because they're out there hunting every single day for our food. Like every day they are hunting, and we just wait here and ask them to just throw it in our, in our hands. So maybe take a different approach and appreciate them for that, or maybe even help them with the hunt so that you guys together can be more successful. That's how I've always looked at it.
Yeah, and I think if you hate realtors, it's because I think where that comes from a lot of times is, oh, they give out 3 names. Oh, they won't give me the time of day. We haven't shown value yet, right? Like I don't believe a real estate agent should give me any business. I don't want their leads. I don't want their referrals. I want to be their teammate and their partner. I want us to do better for more people. And by doing that, we'll win together. That's how I look at it. And I can only say that because I truly believe, like, here's my process. If you aren't working with me, you're not going to get as many referrals because your client won't have the experience they would have if they did work with me. I have a meeting. Drove 2 hours for a real estate agent meeting. That's right after this. And, that's my presentation is here's what I do. You'll do more faster if we're working together. It's not great rates, great service. Give me your business. I don't want your business. I want to help more clients, more of your clients, be happy homeowners, basically.
How how much of a role would you say you play in getting the offer accepted?
Well, I like to think a massive role. I have part of my process. So I'm obsessed with psychology, and really kind of putting myself in the shoes of others. And there's a reason why every real estate agent loves cash offers. It's because lenders screw up all the time. And if there's no loan in place, they don't have to worry about the loan going sideways. That's why they love cash offers. If we never screwed up, they wouldn't see us as being different. So if I know that's how real estate agents look at us, I need to overcome that variable, right? I know the lender is the biggest variable in the transaction, and I want to ensure that you have complete confidence in me and our client's offer. That's like, I hate to call it a script, but that is what I say when I call, when I send a video, when I send a text. I'm acknowledging what you probably think of my group, right, lenders, I'm letting you know I'm not one of them, and that this is the best offer you're going to have. I don't care if there's a higher priced offer. This is the best one. We don't win every single time, but we've won a lot of the time. And I don't want clients to make offers over and over again to learn the market. No one's ever made an offer on a house they didn't want, right? So if someone's making an offer and it's a first-time home buyer and it's their first offer, I will pour my heart and soul into it to make sure that they win. And if we lose, I need to lose knowing I did everything in my control and that I didn't leave anything on the table, because then it's my fault, right? What if I, like, let's just say there's one where I don't send the video, I don't make the phone call and we lose. It's like, man, what if I'd done that? Would it have made a difference? And I just can't, I don't want to say I can't live with myself, but I can't live with myself knowing that I didn't give them everything.
So tons to impact there. I've always looked at it as well. One of the things I've prided myself on is that prior to COVID, I was at a like 90% success rate of having all the very first offers accepted. And I like to think that I played a massive role in that. And because I did what I did, which is what you do basically, you are no longer second string to the realtor. You're right there with them, right? Because you're a team and you're actually adding that kind of value. And like Sean said, the majority of the time it's because the lender screwed up. That's why they don't like, having contingencies and all this other stuff. So you as a lender have to decide what it is you do that makes your offer just as appealing as a cash offer. And for one, I'll tell you, my biggest pet peeve is loan contingencies. I just, for the life of me, can't even figure out why we have them. In the old days, couple would get dressed up on the weekend, walk into an open house, like, oh my gosh, this one's so cute. Can we write an offer? Then you go to the agent, you write an offer right there, and then you go get your days to go get your loan. But now you can't even make an offer unless you have an approval letter. So what good is an approval letter if you still have loan contingencies? Like, that means to me that you're not really even approved yet. So step number one, if you have loan contingencies, then you're doing something wrong. So that's step number one. Step number two, it's like, I call all the listing agents. Oh my gosh, so what? That was like over 10 years ago. Things have changed. They don't even pick up their phone anymore. So what good does that do? But you said you do videos. So let's talk just quickly about that. What does your video look like? Because this is huge in getting an offer accepted, I think.
So my video is personalized every single time. I use BombBomb to send videos because I'll at least, even if they don't call me back, I'll at least know if they opened the email and played the video. That's why I use BombBomb for that feedback. But basically, I try to keep it to a minute. It's me acknowledging that I know I'm the biggest variable. I ask them to share the video with their clients because I want their client to know who's behind the scenes. And then I kind of give a brief overview of the financing. And Dino, just like you just said, the biggest question we'll get from realtors is, are they fully underwritten? Yeah, they were fully underwritten the day I sent out their approval letter, because I'm not sending in a letter. I'm not putting my name on something that's not going to close. So yes, income, assets, credit have been fully verified. And that's a day one thing for us. That's not a cool, this looks like it'll work, now we'll send to underwriting. Unfortunately, everything's gotten pretty black and white with how underwriting and guidelines work. So I think it's part of, if you don't have proficiency in that, someone on your team needs to. But that my video is intro, 1 minute, and that's it, right? But I always tell them, feel free to share this with your client. And then, so let's just say offers are due at 1 p.m. Send the video, make the phone call. Shocker, they didn't answer. I got screamed at one time for leaving a voicemail. Like, she was lost her mind. I saved her number in my phone as Karen Realtor. Don't ever call her in case I have another offer go to her. But to your point, they don't have time for that. So if we put ourselves in the agent's shoes, they just received 10 offers. What is their responsibility at offer deadline time? It's not to answer the phone anymore, because I need to get through these offers and figure out which ones are going to be the best for my client. So what I'll do on the subject line, and this kind of goes into where Dino and I met at exactly what to say. The subject line is offer for 123 Main Street, because then they think they're getting another offer, right? Um, that's how I kind of tee it up to go, how do I try and get their attention? Um, and that's kind of it. The other thing you can do is you could text a video. It's like, oh, bombs complicated. Great. Don't give yourself that excuse. Text a video. And if they don't have read receipt, if you just do a voice, have you guys noticed that when you do a voice text to someone, once they listen to it, it vanishes. So again, for me, like it's like a high school breakup. I'm just looking for closure. Like if they don't call me to learn more about the client, at least I know they got my video because I saw they opened and played it. At least I see that the voice text is no longer there, so I know that they listened to it. If we don't win, I can sleep at night knowing I did the best for my clients. That's really how I look at it.
Love that. Here's a couple things that I kind of do just to add to that. One is, hate saying it, but I take an opportunity for a little bit of like self bragging, and I do it because maybe I can capture their attention to get business from them, but also for credibility purposes. Like I will oftentimes tell them to go Google me, and they'll see that there's not even one review that's less than a 5-star. So right out of the gate, I'm letting them know that they're dealing with a professional. And then a lot of times in the video, I'll flip it to a screen share right after I do that one-on-one, like eye contact with them. I'll flip it and I'll say, so I just want to show you the strength of our borrower. And I'll go through a little bit of the loan application where the numbers are. And very simply it'd be like, so here's our debt ratio, right? And I circle it in the thing. And just know we can go up to 49%. And I'm only at a 42%, right? Which leads me to the next thing. I've already discussed with my clients a way out if something goes wrong. So for example, if the appraisal doesn't come in at value, we have a strategy in place that we've already agreed upon. So what did I do there? I just addressed one of their fears about the appraisal. And then I go into saying that, oh, and by the way, when it comes to appraisals, we don't work with one of these big national companies that doesn't care about what the value comes in at. We work with the local company. We pay a little bit more, but we get the best appraisers in the town that you're in, right? And I've addressed another fear because everybody knows with the appraisals, right? So during COVID, it was such a tough time to get an offer accepted. You like I was forced to address certain things and change the way I did things. If I just kept everything the same, we wouldn't have grown and gotten better, right? So always be looking for changes, always be looking to grow. And the way you do that is by listening to top guys like Sean and finding out these little things. So if you're still making phone calls, don't think you're something special. It's actually stupid. It's not going to work anymore. Actually start doing videos and think through the video, get good at them so that you can make a proper representation of who you are as a lender. And then, oh, by the way, you know, even if the seller doesn't want to close in 15 days, my personal playbook is make an offer for 15 days. Why? Because if we're capable of saying that we can close in 15 days, then already you're better than everybody else that's writing 30-day offers. Let them counter back at 30. And then, oh, by the way, no loan contingencies, right? That's just the thing. And then in my video, I always talk about that, how I don't even understand why there are loan contingencies anymore. What good is a pre-approval letter? So what I do now is I just put doubt in that listing agent's mind about any loan that has any loan contingencies or any offer that has any loan contingencies is worthless. Throw it out. So guys, like, understand that you have to be better than everybody else. And there's a lot of ways you can do that. So just my little 2 bits on the video.
Well, no, and what I love is we do things so similarly. And like Denise Donahue, she's in Texas. She did a presentation on her client process at Modern Mortgage Summit last year. And she was going through it. I'm like, that's what I do. That's what I found. Like a common denominator is the people that are doing a fair amount of volume are doing kind of the same things, but in their own way, right? Like I talk about the appraisals, I talk about non-contingent. Whether a home's been sitting on the market or not, I always do a 2-week close. Like everything you say to me is just normal. But you made a good point about the videos. If the purpose of the video is to show confidence, right? Like if you're watching this, you can see that Dino and I are pretty confident in what we're saying from our facial expressions. If you're very confident in everything you're presenting, but your video doesn't come across as confident, it could be counterproductive. That's why video needs to become like an absolute normal best practice to where, when you're making eye contact with this camera, to me, if I'm looking at this camera, I'm looking at Dino. Like that's what I see on the other side of it. You just have to get to that level of confidence. Otherwise it won't work.
So, one quick thing, because I found this so fascinating about you when I first met you at the workshop we were at, the Exactly What to Say workshop, which I highly recommend to anybody listening. It was worth the money. I'll be the first to say I've gone to so many of that stuff, so much of that stuff that it's whatever. But I really, really enjoyed it. In fact, I was exhausted after 2 days of it because of how much it actually like taxed me in thinking through so much stuff. So highly recommend. So this is what I found interesting. I watched you a few times, so I knew of you, didn't know you, and I got to know you a little bit more. And the fact that you're an introvert, and you said that you can't go to a party and light up the room, and you don't even care to, but yet you get on camera with full authority and confidence, and you have a big social media following, and I would think you're a full extrovert at heart, but you're not.
No, I'm not comfortable until I know someone. Like once I'm in a room of people that I've gotten to know, like if we went to that dinner before sitting with you for 8 hours, I wouldn't have had much to say. Just I'm really self-conscious about that stuff. But video, we all have the same fear of video that we've always had. So the only reason I might have gone to it faster is in 2010, Barry Habib worked at the same company as I did. He was our chief strategy officer, and I was in business development. So we kind of worked hand in hand, and he became like one of my absolute all-time mentors and a really good friend. But in 2010, I remember he was always doing videos, right? Like whenever he would do his morning updates, there was always a video, even back then. And I was working on something, and he's like, "You've got to start making videos." And I was like, "I don't like how I look or sound." He's like, "Nobody cares. Like, that's what you look like. That's what you sound like. You've got to make videos." And so I did a keynote with the strategy I had for loan officers, and I did a voiceover on it, and I sent it to him, and I'm like, "Hey, check this out." So it was a video, right? Because I recorded a voiceover on it, and his reply was, "Get your face on there." That's it. He didn't say anything else. Get your face on there. And then I was like, shoot, I have to do this. And then Mortgage Coach had the ability to make videos even back then, right? So I got into Mortgage Coach probably I'd say 2014-ish, maybe 15, and you could upload videos. I like cut my teeth in Mortgage Coach making videos, and then all of a sudden you just go numb to it like you would with anything else. I think I just got numb to it faster than others because I was forced to start earlier than everyone else. And to be honest, I was trying to teach video to real estate agents. Like that was one of the events I would do for real estate agents is marketing and video and the benefits of video. And then when COVID hit and we all had to be on Zooms all the time, I was like, well, shoot, I'm kind of screwed now because everyone's going to be comfortable on video. No one is. It's like we were on this thing for 2 full years and people are still scared to be on video. And and I was like, I guess I was wrong. I probably could have made a lot more money marketing how to make videos if I hadn't like assumed everyone would just get comfortable with it.
So I'm going to start wrapping it up. Loved this whole thing, so I really appreciate that. A couple quick questions. If I picked you up right now and dropped you off somewhere in the United States where you don't know anybody and you don't have a lot of money, right? You just have some to get by. You have all the knowledge and experience you have, but nobody knows you, right? You have no following on social media, no nothing. What do you do? How do you get started?
So I go to Redfin, find pockets of homes that are the price point that I like. I don't want to be multi-million guy. I don't want to be too low. So where's my sweet spot? So maybe sales prices between $500 and $1 million. Find those sales prices. Who are the agents that are selling in those markets? Go to Eventbrite, set up an event, and then invite all of those agents to that event. And that event will be something of value. So last year it would have been overcoming the compensation concern. This year it's basically how to win in the market no matter what. I'm going to provide something of value to those agents so that I can meet them. Then after that meeting, I'm going to set up one-on-one meetings because I am an introvert. I'm very scared to make cold calls. But now that they've seen me, they see my confidence, they see my value, my follow-up of everybody who either attended or did not attend that is a one-on-one meeting so that we can try and build a team together. That's what I did year one, and I would still do it today. I'm still doing that today.
How do you get them to attend? Because you're nobody.
Sending them videos. So sending video invitations. And by the way, I'm not scared. I'm scared to make a cold call of, hey, do you want to have coffee with me? Because they've heard it a million times and that's not of interest to them. But if it's, hey, what's a good example of this? Okay, so this is something I did recently. So I went to a Tom Ferry event, and before I went to the Tom Ferry event, I scheduled my own event a week after. And my goal was, I'm going to learn from Tom Ferry, take 8 hours of overwhelm, and find 3 key things people can do right now to implement what they learned. And then I'm invite to that event. So now I can call and go, hey, are you going to Tom Ferry? No. Oh, I'm hosting an event right after. I'm going to show you 3 key things you can do to get more listings right now. That's basically what it was. What do realtors want to hear right now? They want to hear more listings, right? If you have more listings, I can show you how to get more buyers by leveraging that open house. So I'm going to show, I guess I'm going to lead with marketing because I'm a marketer at heart. Like Rene Rodriguez said, you're either a salesperson or a marketer. I am not a salesperson. I'm a marketer. So I would call them. I would send video messages. The Eventbrite is going to have a video of me explaining what the event is and what the value is to them. And I want to create FOMO, right? Like I want them to feel like if they don't go to that event and their competitors do, they missed out. That's what I would do.
Yeah. So simple, really. I appreciate that. That's a lot.
Oh, I'm still a wholesale rep at heart. I just, instead of presenting to loan officers, now I present to real estate agents.
Yeah. And, so when I meet younger agents and I tell them to come in, I always tell them, listen, you got to start at the bottom. You got to learn how to do a loan. You have to learn every aspect of it. You have to get really good at doing loans. And then quite honestly, once you figure it all out, forget about it. And don't even like call yourself a loan officer anymore. You need to be a master marketer, like be a marketing genius. Because if your phone doesn't ring, it doesn't matter how good you are at the numbers and the process, right? So of course, get good at your trade, be the best at your trade, and know and have confidence in what you're capable of doing. But forget about that afterwards and get into trying to figure out how to get your phone to ring, right? So trust is a big deal. I've always looked at you're dealing with people's money. So be a trustworthy individual. Always present yourself in that way and actually just be that guy, right? Be that kind of a man. Be trustworthy. People need to be able to know that when they air their dirty laundry to you, because a lot of times that's what it feels like when they're applying for a loan, that they have faith in you and that you're going to take care of them and that you're not going to judge them. Okay, moving on because I know it's getting kind of late here. Favorite book?
The Alchemist, absolute number one. Paulo Coelho's the author, and it's basically about how we perceive things and what we decide they are, and just really trusting and following a process. It's kind of like it's like that movie Fight Club. Like you'll finish it and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I got to reread this thing right now. Like I got to go back and reread the whole thing. But I read that book probably at least once a quarter. Yeah, that's definitely. And then Paulo Coelho is just like one of my favorite authors, periods. He's got other books that are on that same level.
That's really interesting. At that dinner, I was telling you about how we have what I think is the most robust gifting program in the entire nation. We call it the Always Present program, and we do a lot. By the time 1 year has passed, at the 1 year anniversary, our average client will have received about 15 gifts from us. So I'm pretty excited about that. But what we're actually doing, which is what's exciting here, is that we're actually creating a role and we're calling it the Alchemist. So the person that's going to be in charge of the entire Always Present program is going to be the head alchemist. And that alchemist, when a loan officer comes and says, hey, I got this, either this client or this agent or somebody, the alchemist will be like, tell me everything you know about them. And then let's put something together. It may not just be one gift. It might be a series of gifts, but let's put a program together for them.
That's awesome. It's a super easy read. Super easy read. The other one is I just went to a sports medicine doctor. He gave me his book. And I mean, I've only read the introduction and it had some profound things on it to where I have a meeting with him on Monday. I'm like, I need 20 of your books, but I'll send you a copy of it as soon as I get it. I haven't read it yet, but like just the intro, I'm like, this is going to be fantastic.
Favorite saying or quote?
Favorite saying or quote? I guess it'd be Yvon Chouinard. This was an inspiration for me when I started out. So Yvon Chouinard's a dirtbag rock climber who turned into a billionaire on accident by just doing the right thing with Patagonia clothing. And Patagonia's mission statement is create the best product, cause no unnecessary harm. And I love that they have something they can come back to. So, okay, we want to make this jacket. Is it the best product? Not really. Then don't make it. We want to use these materials. Will it cause any harm to the environment? Everything causes harm to the environment. That's why he says cause no unnecessary harm. It will, but it's minimal. Cool, then it's the right move. So based on that, in 2017, when I decided to step into this role, mine was provide the best solutions and service, make a difference in the lives of others. And that was kind of on the back of what Yvon started.
Yeah, I love that. Ours is a relentless pursuit of giving people more than they could ever imagine through unreasonable service.
Awesome. Yeah. We're super aligned. This has been really fun today.
You know, it's fun. I'm not doing loans as much anymore. I'm trying to grow the company and recruit and do all that, but there's a real passion for me in talking to the clients. And, you know, recently my production partner that does basically everything for me was a little overwhelmed. So I decided to jump in and talk to a few people. And I got to tell you, it just felt good. It felt so good to talk to them and be able to give them comfort and excitement in their future endeavors. And gosh, guys, if you want to truly be successful, I think you have to get to that point where you love what you do. So, Sean, thank you for joining me. I know it was a long one. I really appreciate it. A lot of great nuggets out of it. And I just, you know, I've been watching you, man. I like everything you do so much. And I hope that we get to know each other more in the future.
Hell yeah, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you again for having me. This has been super fun. It flew by. I could talk for another hour, but yeah, this has been great.
I'd love to have you back on and maybe we can drill down into some like particular, you know, things in the future. Because quite honestly, you know, like I said, the way lending should be done. Well, the way what you do is the way lending should be done. And I think there's a lot to learn from you. And I appreciate your energy and everything you put into our industry as a whole. So thank you.
No, my pleasure, man. I just want everyone to be better and have a good life and good experience. So thank you again. This has been so super fun.
Awesome. And on social media, how can people find you, follow you?
Mostly on Instagram at Adventure Lender. That's kind of where I spend most of my time. And then I do a little bit on YouTube, but I'd say Insta is the spot to be.
So thanks for watching The Way Podcast. Gosh, I just want to thank Sean Herrero. He was so great on the show. And also I want to let everybody out there know that if you guys need any coaching, right? Like I'm talking free and not paid, just you need a little bit of help getting over your hurdles of wherever you're at in your career right now, please reach out. I'd love to find out and be able to help you out a little bit. And also, if you guys have any interest in joining our broker community, Ethos Lending is hiring loan officers, and we will give you all of the training you can possibly have. We're going to pour into you because my only concern right now as a business owner, I'm not even doing loans anymore. My concern is pouring all my energy and effort into helping you as a loan officer be successful in this industry. So I'd love to hear from you. Just remember, you know, we're here to empower, equip, and educate the way lending should be done here at Ethos Lending.